evening, everybody. So Enrique and I have worked very hard on putting this together, and here we go. Okay, Greg, next. Okay, so we're continuing, every year to improve the route efficiency to better serve the community. The big thing is when we go to the Princeton plan, there's going to have to be a lot of understanding from families that we're going to have to be utilizing gang stops as much as possible. Of course, on roads that are dangerous, we're not going to be able to do that. But we have a lot of elementary kids that are still being picked up at their driveways. And they're living in developments where they absolutely, need to be able to walk out to the corner. So I just want, that's a very big thing. I tried to do that this year and I got numerous phone calls. Oh, my kid's always been picked up at the end of the driveway. Why do I have to walk, 50 yards down the street to put my kid on the bus? And my driveway's a quarter mile long and, those kind of things. So we really need to, have parents understand that we need to start to utilize gang stops. Okay, we continue to use the shared services model. We really aren't using that this year because of COVID. All of the districts in the group all decided that with the limited seating on the buses and with the implications of COVID, that we all would bus our own children, our own students to the out-of-district programs. But we're hoping to get back into shared services next school year. In fact, all the new contracts went out and they've all been signed and returned. I think that perhaps you guys have already approved that, so we already have our part of it done. And Enrique and I are also continuing to explore the possibility of adding electric vehicles to the fleet. The governor has put a directive forward that by 2025, each school district in New York State has to have a specific percentage of electric buses in their fleet in order to reduce emissions from diesel and gasoline vehicles. So we're looking at the costs associated with doing that. Next. This year, as always, our drivers receive their annual recertification for EpiPen administration and also for dealing with diabetic emergencies and seizure disorders. The drivers also receive training on proper cleaning techniques and disinfecting techniques in order to meet the CDC and Department of Health protocols in order to manage COVID-19 virus. Okay. I also this year need to replace both hydraulic lifts at the bus garage. Both are 20 years old. We can't acquire the parts in which to repair them, and they will not pass inspection again. So this is, obviously a very important piece of equipment that is used in the bus garage in order to repair our buses, and it is something that we're, going to have to do. Their replacement was not anticipated, because had it been, had we known that, then we would have thought about, doing maybe one with this previous budget and not have to put both of them onto the next budget. Next, yep, there you go. We received delivery on one 72-passenger Bluebird Transit-style school bus this year, and we also received delivery on 3 28-passenger vans. And we are awaiting delivery on one small utility vehicle that we purchased for grounds maintenance, which will probably, I think it's probably will go to the high school, but we've already worked with the vendor to get that ordered and everything. We're just waiting for it to arrive. Okay. Next year, I would like to purchase one dual-wheeled wheelchair bus. The approximate cost is $72,000. We need to purchase one 72-passenger transit-style bus with a cost of about $149,000, and then to replace the 2 hydraulic lifts in the bus garage. So the ban for this budget year for this next coming budget year would be $525,000 in the ban. Next. So as we go through my my budget here, we have the salary and the non-instructional, everything is just in keeping with what the CSEA contract is, their 2% increase. I left, let's see, we left the field trips the same. We didn't increase that, nor did we increase sports overtime either. Next. Yes, my transportation line stays the same, as does my contractual expense. Materials and supplies also stays the same. I increased fuel by $15,000, anticipating that if we do go to the Princeton plan for the 21-22 school year, there's going to be an increased consumption of fuel with the buses, because the buses are obviously going to be driving greater distances. So that's what that increase is there. And then the other two lines stay the same. Next. And same thing, this is the insurance, the auto liability, and then our umbrella policy. So those both stay the same. Next. Okay, so garage equipment, I increased that line by $5,000. There is some, I'm anticipating that when we start to replace the lifts, there may be some remediation that's going to have to be done. And the cost to remove any contaminated soil is going to have to be accounted for. So that's what that extra $5,000 is there. Contractual expenditures at the garage stays the same. My natural gas stays the same, as does water and electricity. And my property and general liability insurance also is the same. And then my material and supplies for the bus garage also stays the same with no increase. So overall, that budget increase is $76,823 for a 2.1% overall budget increase for transportation. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, Liz, I just have one question.
Sure.
So you made an assumption, if we were to go to Princeton plan, that there'll be an extra $15,000 in fuel costs, which assumes additional miles and usage. So
Correct.
Why wouldn't tires and other maintenance also go up if the mileage is going to be higher on all the buses?
I'm not really anticipating that the cost of the tires is going to go up greatly.
Well, you're saying
I'm not thinking I'm going to have to buy that many more tires, but I think that we're going to be replacing tires that frequently. But I do,
because tires are rated on a mileage basis, right?
Right.
And the more you use them, the more you have to replace them. So if we're saying we're going to use $15,000 more worth of fuel, that means we're going to have a significant number of miles, right? So wouldn't that increase tires?
I don't know if it's going to be a significant number more of miles, but I think that with with fuel, as fuel increases and as fuel consumption increases, then we're going to, that's why I'm looking to increase that line at some point.
All right, I'm just thinking, like, if it was $2 a gallon, wouldn't that be 7,500 more miles, I guess? Or is it, am I doing good math there? Right?
No, you're correct.
It's how many miles a gallon? You only get like.
Yeah, you only get about 12 miles to go on a bus.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that increasing it by that, I do have a little bit of cushion in that line. So that's why I didn't increase it, astronomically. But if I see that I need to add, money into, the tires and that, then I have money where I can, possibly move if need be. But I don't see that that's going to be a huge increase.
Liz, I have a question relating to, all similarly with the Princeton plan. What about salaries for our bus drivers with the Princeton? If we go to the Princeton plan,
they would stay the same, because no matter what, I still have the custodians in the building. It's the same number of drivers. It wouldn't be an increase in positions.
so it wouldn't. Okay, so it would not produce an increase in any positions.
Well,
So it's not. There would be no hourly impact if they have to drive further and longer?
yes, but we don't need to increase the number of custodians. Maybe we'll need to have some overtime as the custodian part because they are driving more time. But from the standpoint of driving, the portion that we charge to driving, we don't expect we don't expect to need any new drivers.
I just get the sense that maybe we're underestimating the additional costs because my math before was wrong, right? So if we're saying it's 15,000 more in fuel, let's say it's $2 a gallon, that's 7,500 gallons at 10 miles per gallon conservatively, that's 75,000 more miles we're going to be driving. Right? Is that, I don't know if, you know, Bill and Enrique, correct me if I'm wrong there.
No,
I just, and then there's, right. Just want to make sure that we're not, overestimating the savings here.
It's the first, if we move to Princeton, it's the first time that we move to Princeton. So it's going to be the first time that Liz and I have to budget under different circumstances. For example, this year we had the same amount in money for tires. So probably some of the tires that we bought that we're not going to need to use because we thought that this was a normal year and we have less buses in the street, we'll use those tires for next year. Liz and I discussed all those issues. We feel comfortable that we'll be fine. Maybe for the following year, we'll see that we're a little bit short in portions, and then we'll adjust it for the following budget. But definitely, it's a new budget. It's not something that we have experienced like the rest of the budget. But Liz and I feel comfortable that even if it's a couple of $1,000, we'll be able to find the money somewhere else.
And actually, Corey, to go to answer further your question, Liz, how many buses do we have?
Right now, currently, to transport students in the morning, I use 14. And that doesn't count the vans that I use for the out-of-district and special education in-district runs. So for my high school arrivals in the morning, I use 14 and 14 for the middle school, and those same 14 buses do my 3 elementary schools.
So Corey, if you divide that 75,000, you're estimating miles divided by 14, you're talking about 5,000 miles of vehicle, which you're not going to see a significant change in tire cost based on 5,000 miles of vehicle.
Right.
Correct. And the vehicles are only serviced every 5,000 miles.
Right. So it's probably one extra service then for all the vehicles.
Correct. Just one.
Okay. So service, how much is the cost of service on the vehicle per vehicle? A couple $100, a few $100 times 14. I'm just saying that there's an additional cost, but besides the 15.
Well, most of the cost of servicing the vehicles is not parts, it's labor. It's like when you take your car, if you look at the cost of servicing, the oil might be $20 and they charge you $300 because it's labor. And for us, labor will be, it doesn't matter if they'll need more service because they are our own employees.
Right. Their own employees. And if they, on a PM, they're going to do oil change, fluid changes, or top offs if they need to. They're going to check the brakes, do the readings on the brakes and stuff. They don't change brakes every 5,000 miles. It depends on what the needs are and what the measurements are.
Right. Okay.
And we also buy in bulk, so that saves us with it. It's not like we're buying a 1-quart can of oil. We're buying 55-gallon drums of oil at a time.
Right.
So it's, we buy everything in bulk that way.
You think about gas maybe going to $5 a gallon?
No, well, we're lucky because we operate underneath the state contract, so we're able to, get our fuel prices at reasonable. Reasonable rates. Still though, from January. From my fuel that I ordered in January to the fuel that I ordered, for February, it went up 30 cents a gallon. So But everybody wants to blame, the election on that, but it's really not that. It's that it was so cheap in the summertime. We were paying $1.14 per gallon for gasoline in the summer, and only I think we paid $1.18 a gallon for diesel fuel. Now I think really the prices, and I compare them to what I paid last year at this time, the prices are they're a little bit lower. So we're not over what we spent last year. So.
Alex, go ahead.
So looking at the line item budget, I don't see the cost of the hydraulic lifts. So is that going to be part of your budget, or how are we paying for
It's
that
in the
for this
ban.
year?
It's in the ban.
That's going to be in a separate proposition like we do every year. Every year we have a separate proposition to buy the buses or equipment that we need for the buses. So that's going to be a separate proposition besides the budget.
That people will vote on in May.
Yes. And
Correct.
the way it works is that we issue bonds for 5 years. So basically we pay the buses over a 5-year period. Like that, we don't suddenly, the years that we need more buses, suddenly we need to pay $500,000. So for example, in this case, we will be paying over the next 5 years about $110,000 for this bond per year.
So, but what happens if it doesn't pass and this work has to be done anyway?
Then there's 2 things that we can do. Number one, we can use the repair reserve to try to repair them. Number 2, there's a law under New York State municipal law that if it's an emergency, we do it and we just add it to the budget. But the board will have to declare it an emergency.
Okay, thank you.
And it's the same, Alexandra, it's the same as if 1 year we're in contingent budget, meaning that the budget doesn't pass. We cannot use, all the equipment money goes away. We cannot buy any equipment under contingent. So we need, if anything breaks, we need to fix it rather than to buy a new one. And actually that happened to me when I was in Amityville. When I came there, we were in contingent and we needed a sampler for the winter. It cost more to fix the one that we had than to buy another one, a new one. But because of municipal law, we couldn't buy the new. And by the way, always, for the last, I think, 25 years, the transportation has always passed at a much higher rate than the budget, and it has never failed.
Knocking on wood, Enrique.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm just talking history.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else have any? Allie, did you have another question? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Liz.
Okay, thank you.